Welcome. So today I've got quite a few bits of fashion news to talk about, to discuss, because it's all kicking off. We start with Sarah Burton's new appointment at Givenchy. Also, the Met Gala announced their new 2025 theme, the Black Dandy. I also want to talk a bit more about Zara's clout chasing high fashion collaboration, as they have announced some really interesting new collaborations. I also want to speak about the Victoria's Secret fashion show that's happening this week as I'm filming. So by the time this video goes out, we're probably going to see all the images from that and see the first initial thoughts of that. So that's also quite exciting. There's also more fashion news that I want to discuss. So if that sounds like something like you're interested in, let's go. Before we start, I want to say welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you're here, hi, my name is Esther, and on my YouTube channel I do weekly videos about what's going on in the fashion industry. So if that sounds like something you are interested in too, then please like this video and subscribe to my channel. So the fashion musical chairs, as the term has been coined by High Fashion Twitter, continues, and I want to talk a bit about Sarah Burton's appointment at Givenchy. I'm looking at the news, and apparently this was announced back in September, but this is the first I'm hearing of it in the news cycle, in the social media news cycle, and I'm surprised there hasn't been much talk about it, and it wasn't much of a bigger fanfare and conversation, seen as the constant conversation about the change of creative directors in these bigger houses always focus on why they are all white gay men moving around, and they haven't opened up the doors for anybody else to take the head of these roles. So then with Sarah Burton being a woman who helmed Alexander McQueen after he passed, stepping into the role, I would have thought there would have been a lovely conversation piece about women in fashion, but it just wasn't there. And my initial thoughts is I'm personally excited to see a woman designer create for women, rather than, I guess, most people who are fashion commentators like the art aspects rather than the practicality aspects of fashion. So they would have loved to have a creative director that would have brought some amazing creative ideas and really pushed the boundaries of ready-to-wear women's, and also couture, if that's what she's going to do. And they probably would have really liked to see that type of designer helm a big brand. But for me, I'm actually really excited to see a women designer create for women and see how she chooses to create really good pieces that are wearable for women from a women's angle and women's eye, because the women creative directors are like, their viewpoint is going to be different from the men's creative directors, who they can be as far removed from the garments as they need to be, because they don't have to imagine themselves wearing it. Whereas women, we cannot escape that. We cannot escape the war on our bodies with looking at certain designers and certain brands and certain pieces and being like, they want me to be a third of the size that I am now in order to fit this and look good in this. And that sometimes can be incredibly difficult to navigate, because it really creates such a body dysmorphic idea of what you should look like. And for me, it makes me turn on myself and have this war against my body for not looking like the way these fashion designers want me to look like, rather than being like, I have a woman's body, why don't they just design for how women are? But that's my take. That's my brief take on it. Let's see what the press release says. It says, the former Alexander McQueen designer fills the vacancy left by Matthew Williams. In Vogue Business. You don't really want me to open this page. Well, I'm going to read it on another bit. God, let's see where else I can grab this news. Always a pop-up when you go on a website. It's so annoying. Yes, so the former creative director of Alexander McQueen has stepped in to fill this role that was left vacant by Matthew Williams earlier in January. So they took their time to fulfill the role, which is, it seems like a lot of the brands are taking their time to interview and make sure they get the right person. It doesn't seem like there's a fast turnaround to fill the spot. So the French Luxuries label's new creative director will be responsible for the women's and men's collection with immediate effect. It is a great honor to be joining the beautiful house of Givenchy. It is a jewel. I am so excited to be able to write the next chapter in the story of this iconic house and to bring Givenchy my own vision, sensibility and beliefs. And for me, as a woman, I am excited to see women design for women and how it helps us feel more comfortable having womanly bodies but still being fashionable. So that's always my angle. I was looking for the last runway show and there wasn't one for spring summer, which I was quite surprised. Givenchy as a house hasn't had any real standout moments in basically the design space, the fashion space, whatever. They had their shark boots, which became a bestseller, but at the end of the day, a lot of luxury houses sell leather goods and that's their bread and butter, so it's great that they actually have a bread and butter product like the shark boots. But I was just trying to understand what their silhouette was, what their main design focal point is, because I just don't know what it has been in the recent times. I'm not even familiar with from just to come to the top of my head, obviously I'm thinking back to the 90s of Alexander McQueen's Givenchy, Tom Ford's Givenchy, I think he designed for that. So very much evening wear, high-end luxury women's wear pieces, but these days the modern fashion houses really got to focus. They've kind of become really got to focus on the everyday wearer, I would say, the everyday piece, not that one big evening wear statement piece. They're really going to make it, they really have to build out and flesh out like an avatar, a real identity for the wearer and the collections, rather than allowing the garments to be absolved into the wearer's life. We almost treat a lot of these brands, a lot of these products like you wear it and it elevates who you are. So I haven't I can see why it sort of faded away from the main fashion conversation, because it was probably quite old school then and it needed a revamp. It needed somebody to bring it into the modern age, to the modern shopper and what they want to see and how they want to shop. It's all for me about the marketing, how the brand is marketed and to be sold, rather than whatever piece that they create. The way Loewe was really recreated to be contemporary for the current times. So I am interested to see what Sarah Breton does for Givenchy, and like I said, with the women's sensibilities and design in mind, it's going to be something different, and I think it is what this brand needs in order to maintain relevant for the next 10 years, because women design for women, and I think that's going to be something that's going to be very important this next stage of the fashion industry space. You have the Row, which is a women's based brand. You have I forgot her name, Phoebe Philo. Like, those two brands, the Row and Phoebe Philo, are basically going to be the main DNA ID architecture of how women's wear is going to evolve. Because that's just what I think, and that's what I believe. I think just from genuinely, as millennials get older, we become, I'm a millennial, the main target audience for these brands. As we get older, you get higher salaries, whatever. So our sensibilities and how we want to shop are going to be different to what came before, and Gen Z is also going to flip the script as well. So things have to evolve, and that's why I'm excited to see the conversations, the design aspects that really gets that Sarah will bring to this brand. the article that I'm reading off The Guardian, it says here, which is a phrase that I really liked. As fashion journalist Lauren Sherman wrote last November, for LVMH, Burton's technical talent would be the key. Contracting Burton would be a message to the market and consumers that the company still values traditional design skills, not just hype. And that's exactly what kind of sums up the term of this next stage of fashion industry. It is not just the hype, it is about the traditional design skills, well-made clothes, and which consumers, with being more conscious consumers, may value over hype, guerrilla marketing, and aspirational stuff. Yeah. So the next thing I want to discuss is Zara doing the most. Like Zara's continued force and effort into really carving out a space for themselves in the high fashion space, in the creative space, and getting creative clout. Zara has always been a luxury fashion runway adjacent brand. Everything that they have in their stores and would be straight off the runway. It would be rip-offs. It would be easy for people to emulate designer brands by just throwing on the Zara version of it. Fuck quality, fuck integrity, fuck design. It was just like, yep, this is Zara's going to do their own version, and whoever's going to copy it. And so instead of doing that, they have now tapped into working with amazing fashion icons, as we saw last week with Stefano Pilati's collection. And I said then it's going to continue on. Zara is probably really going to dominate their next 5 years or wherever with these collaborations. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more fashion names doing collaborations with Zara, like a Karin Reutefeldt, Anna Della Russo, like creative stylists, and I don't know what's the term, fashion people, I'm just going to use that loosely, from eras just gone by, the beginning of the Instagram era, and how they would helm magazines, they would helm consultants, they would use their creativity like that to build their profile, and now they are going to cash in on that through selling the idea of dressing like them through working with brands like Zara. So yes, it'll be interesting to see which will be the next person to take up that Zara offer. I think they are probably going to do one, probably going to be a part of their ongoing campaigns, to have guest edits. So Kate Moss is the latest one, which was announced last week. This is one I'm excited about. It's going to do well. Kate Moss is an amazing fashion icon. She's an amazing style icon. I remember the days of her Topshop collections when I was just a fashion student, and the complete utter pandemonia around Kate Moss, what she was back then to the fashion industry, to young women. And I think she still has that. She still has that ability to make women want to dress a certain way. So her collection with Zara, I'm really excited to see. It's a glamorous party capsule. Like, Kate Moss is known for partying, and this is the perfect kind of collection for her. Not doing I think she was trying to rebrand as wellness, meditation, because that was what people wanted a few years ago. But I don't think wellness in itself is popular or is as influential as they wanted it to be. So she's going back to her party roots and what we know her for, dressing gorgeously. What I remember her for is all the pap shots of her coming out of clubs in gorgeous dresses. So that's what I imagine the collection would be. So imagine you're going to a Christmas party and you don't really know what to wear, because you're just it's a bit more formal than your usual. We've come out of lockdown where we've gotten so used to wearing informal clothes, and now we have to dress up and flesh out our wardrobes again. And you're I don't know what to wear to this Christmas party. And then you see a Kate Moss collection, and you're all right, I'm gonna wear something that she's told me to wear 100%. So I would probably buy a piece. I don't know what the price one's going to be but I would probably buy one of the dresses because I know they're going to be good. I just know that. And she is also collaborating. She's also bringing in Katie England as well. Katie England from gosh, whatever stylist fame. She's been an amazing stylist, and I think she also worked closely with Alexander McQueen. So I'm very excited to see what the collection will be. I wonder if she will pick out some of her own pieces, from her wardrobe, like iconic dresses that she's worn, whether on the runway or whether in her own personal life, and she recreate that for the collection. It'd be interesting to see also the quality as well. I wonder if it will be in stores or just online, like the Stefano Pilates collection was mainly online. But yes, so even though I don't particularly like Zara, I do think they are going to help create more excitement around fashion by making it accessible for people who are fashionable and love fashion but wouldn't necessarily shop at luxury. You don't have to own a luxury item in order to call yourself fashionable, in order to want to. Everyone's financial situation is their own financial situation, and I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it makes you even more or less of a quote unquote fashion person if you own Tabby boots or wear Rick Owens. Like, come on, in this current climate that we're living in, let's just be a little bit more realistic in certain aspects. Like, you can own that one day, you don't have to own it now, and it's fine. But also with her past collections, they sold up very quickly, and then they were on eBay and they became like cult items to own. So who knows what this one will be. Another collaboration that Zara announced too, roughly around the same day. We didn't get as much conversation because it's not Kate Moss, but it is a Cold War founder, Samuel Ross, who I think is a Kanye West protege. He is also collaborating with Zara on some menswear. And yes, I have heard of a Cold War. To me, a Cold War was just like a very trendy menswear fashion brand. I did not have much opinion of it. I did not have any real understanding of the brand. I thought it was just a bit cool, probably too cool for me. But I would be interested to see what the collaboration with Zara would be. Again, I think I remember that the founder said that the reason why he collaborated with Zara was to make it accessible to people, because a Cold War may not have been accessible before. And this type of collaboration with this type of designer, with a Kate Moss type figure, is actually really good for Zara, because it's coming in from what they're known for, mass production, accessibility, but also helping these designers get visibility, get visibility and get clients and learn about them, and have a way for them to make money and maintain their brands. Because you may not, for instance, before when H&M used to do this fashion collaborations, you never in a million years, if you've never grown up wearing designer items, right, but you want to wear designer items, but you've never gone into a designer boutique, or it's something that can be intimidating for people going into a designer boutique, especially even just to like window shop. But then you buy a collaboration from a fast fashion brand, and then you discover this brand and you really love the brand, and then you actually want to shop the brand. And it can be a really good way for people to actually discover fashion brands and discover that for the fashion brands, regardless of whatever, if it's a collaboration or if it's their mainline stuff, is actually affordable anyway. Like, you can actually afford to own designer items, but it's the accessibility that sometimes is very hard. Because I don't shop online that much, and I wouldn't buy a designer item online straight away. I really want to feel it and see the item, and you don't necessarily always know where to go. You could go to Selfridges, but they may not have the pieces in Selfridges. The department stores may only even hold the leather goods or the shoes, and you just really would need to go somewhere where you can actually see the item. And yes, the intimidation of going into a luxury department store or a brand, well, it's real and it's not imagined, because the sales associates in some of those places can be a bit difficult to shop with, especially if they know you're window shopping and you're not there to buy a lot of stuff. They can make your experience horrible. This is all real fucking things. To real things, and it doesn't matter. You can shop there if you want to. You don't have to shop there if you don't want to. You can window shop, okay? But the whole experience can be extremely difficult to navigate. So there's so many angles of this kind of collaborations that will be great for the fashion industry, to especially the smaller designers, to build a genuine client base. And it's always about tapping into the right kind of small brand, the right kind of fashion icon to make the situation work. Like Naomi Campbell did a Pretty Little Things collaboration, or was supposed to. I don't know if it launched, and that was just not the right. Naomi Campbell was not the right person to do a brand collaboration, because she's never really been somebody who was influential with what they wore and how they dressed. She's similar to like a Beyonce in the way that you just don't aspire, you're not influenced by them to dress or to want to be like. They're just sort of aspirational figureheads for us. And that Pretty Little Thing collaboration was probably not the best space for her to be in, considering Pretty Little Things is the worst type of fast fashion ever. And that was just not a good collaboration. So yes, Zara doing these collaborations, as long as they maintain the kind of, as long as they find the right fit, it will be really good for everyone involved. The next thing that I want to talk about is the Met Gala announced their exhibition for the upcoming Met Gala in 2025, and it is called the Super Fine Tailoring Black Style, and it's about the Black Dandy. So firstly, the Costume Institute, right, they will have their exhibition, and then the actual Costume Institute Gala, they may still follow the same theme of this, or they may change it, but this is actually the exhibition. And hopefully the actual gala, this will be the theme, but it was kind of just like kept together as this is the theme. So obviously this news was released last week, and there was just like a lot. It was a great feedback. Obviously this is the first time the Met Gala has done any sort of tribute or any sort of theme that was outside of the usual Eurocentric fashion. And I'm not going to create like a negative spin on that, because genuinely there hasn't really been, I just don't see how it could have been done before on a wider scale, on a rich scale, than it needs to be done now, than it is now. So that's like something that I'm excited to see. So yes, there's loads of, I wonder how many Google searches were there for the term the Black Dandy. And so it focuses on menswear, and it's going to show the complex history of Black dandyism. What does that even mean? So the whole term, the dandy, is about a very well-dressed man creating a lot of like contemporary fashion with menswear, about masculinity, and exploring that. So how does that fare with what that means? The dandy can mean anything, and I may do a full explanation. But in terms of the exhibition, firstly let's talk about the main exhibition. It is inspired by guest curator Monica L. Miller's 2009 books Slaves to Fashion, Black Dandyism and the Styling of the Black Diasporic Identity. The exhibition will explore the importance of sartorial style to the formation of Black identities in the Atlantic diaspora. Historically, the term dandy was used to describe someone, often a man, who was extremely devoted to style and approach, as it's a discipline. Dandyism was initially imposed on black men in the 18th century Europe as the Atlantic slave trade and an emerging culture of consumerism created a trend of fashionably dressed or dandified servants. Dandyism offered black people an opportunity to use clothing, gesture, irony and wit to transform their given identities and imagine a new way of embodying political and social possibilities. Like, this is such a layered conversation, and I really hope that just generally just having this here is just going to open up a great conversation and a great creative ideas. But genuinely my initial thoughts when I read through that was looking at the Sapel style of the Congolese men. I think that is a great example of dandyism in the modern world, in order to kind of get your mind off what can that be. They are so Google that, look at that. That's exactly for me what it is, what it embodies energetically. with like the joyfulness that they have choose to express themselves through this style. I believe I remember seeing an advertisement of this Bell style. I think it was maybe Carlsberg beer, when they did a commercial with like Liverpool FC, and they had this football player called Cisse in Liverpool, and he embodied this style, and they used that. That was the first time I saw it in a way that was like celebrated. And the problem with this being American focused, it is going to focus on, I think, mostly American dandies and the African American experience, as it should. But then this may cause a bit of not confusion, but maybe some people may not want to embrace and embody the style because they don't want to offend anybody. They don't know what exactly this means and how they will show up in this, because for black people, for our lived experiences, this is just normal to us, and we are happy to explore our cultures and also explore everybody else's cultures with the same level of respect. But that's just not how it is on any other side. And so I don't know when the exhibition takes place what the results will be. In terms of the exhibition, it'll be great, but the actual Met Gala, what people will tap into. Obviously, the conversations was talking about Andre Leon Talley, they were talking about Dapper Dan, they were going to focus mainly on that aspect of these trailblazers who have basically gone from nothing to something in the fashion industry. And that may be the main focus of what they basically may want to make it political, the black dandyism, and that is great. But I really just want there to be more of an open exploration about the modern day, what modern day dandyism is, to make it appeal real and humanize it. Sometimes when things become activism, it's very much like you either embrace it or you shut down and want to stay away from it, and makes you feel uncomfortable to delve in and actually explore, because you're like, is this cultural appropriation? Is this that? And I'm like, sometimes you can choose to just not want to look more into it. But yes, am I cynical at the fact that this was the chosen theme? Because Anna Wintour may want to regain, like, was it just a move? I guess it all could be a move, but at the same time it's here, so let's enjoy it for what it is, and allow like something that is centered on black African diasporic experience in fashion, which has never really been highlighted before outside of African fashion and like being African print. There is no other fashion conversation. And when I was younger, not even that younger, a few years ago, and I started my own fashion brand, and I wanted it to be a hybrid between African and Western, and I couldn't creatively think beyond the African print and making modern clothes. And I'm like, and I was like, shit, I'm terrible at this shit. But I'm like, well, then what else would I have tapped into? What other creative movement that highlighted my African heritage, my black heritage, could I have tapped into at that point? Because there just wasn't anything accessible, and I had never heard of this book myself. And because when I studied fashion, and I learned about European fashion and European fashion only, and the only African fashion I heard about again was African print or tribal, and it's just like that's just such fantastical, that's the word, and objectifying, and whatever the African word of Orientalism is, it's like doing traditional wear and saying it's fashion. It's not. But I'm like, okay, so I learned to learn about my African heritage and fashion through a European lens, and that was like, oh, okay, but how would I not learn about it through a European lens when I reading the books? But anyway, what my tangent was, that this whole experience, this whole fashion black dandyism is going to help the fashion creatives, designers of African black heritage to actually explore our Western black identities more, because we are seeing it, and it's going to open up our creative minds more than we could before. So as always, the Met was kind of losing its importance and its relevance, so this is kind of giving it a little bit of an injection, and as always, it's great to see. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Victoria's Secret fashion show is back. I haven't heard a peep about it at all. Honestly, Victoria's Secret is like, the Victoria's Secret is like, yeah, they try to be woke and inclusive, and then people are like, no, we wanted the old Victoria's Secret back, so they've gone back to that. But I feel like it's just not the kind of thing we want to see. It's not the kind of thing we want to partake in. We no longer want to aspire to look like these girls. We no longer, it's not in us to want to be a Victoria's Secret model. So I don't understand the point of selling this idea of this almost perfection, otherworldly goddess beauty. Like, we're not in that stage of life anymore. We are beyond that. We are tired. So I just don't think that I think it's going to be I'm hoping it's an embarrassment for them, so it kind of folds fully, because the whole concept of what Victoria's Secret was about was terrible anyway, but we were just all grandfathered into this type of media that we never really questioned it until they changed it and made it work, and we realized, no, we want it back. And they were like, why do I want that back? Oh, it made me hate myself and my body even more. Oh, I don't want that back, no way. And I remember when they had a black model, Maria Borges, who went down the runway for the first time with a short teeny weeny afro, and it was like a big thing, like, I'm the first model to wear my natural hair. And I'm like, this is not something we need to be fucking celebrating, okay? Like, get a fucking grip. We all need to get a fucking grip and leave this type of shit behind. We can't be talking about progression and we're still wanting this. I mean, it's like, they don't know where they fit in the modern world, and we don't know where they fit in the modern world. And we kind of want these things, these fashion moments, these fashion events, but we also don't want to be, we also are aware of the harm it can cause, and we just don't really care to kind of celebrate it the way we used to. So again, I don't really know what it's going to be. I will probably see the photos and talk about it next week. So it's the last live show took place in 2018 before a series of controversies led to a 6-year hiatus. Normally there would be, like, the last time I remember thinking about the Victoria's Secret fashion show, there was like, the lead up to it was huge. We had all the models doing behind the scenes about them getting ready, talking about their diet, their Victoria's Secret diet. It was such a, I think they announced who the angels were. They probably did like behind the scenes, you're an angel, oh my god, and we'll be like, yay, so and so's walking the show. It's so fucking dystopian to think that we encourage this. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring back a lot of the older ladies who were legends to kind of tap into our nostalgic feelings for this and to make us want the show back even more, but I just don't think it's going to work. We are too woke about this anymore. I think Tyler's going to be performing as well. It's going to be a good performance because Tyler is a great model. It's going to be showing on Amazon Prime, I think. And it's going to be on YouTube, TikTok. So Tyra Banks is coming back, Adriana Lima, Gigi Hadid, Paloma El Cesar, Ashley Graham. Yeah. I guess they really want to tap into a younger audience to get them to discover how amazing Victoria's Secret was. Yay. I just don't think Gen Z will take to it the way that they want them to. But let's see how it goes. What I want to mention is I saw that Bottega Veneta released their new perfume recently. I don't know how recently it was. Oh, look. Matthew Blazy's first Bottega Veneta fragrances are here. It was actually released at the beginning of October. And I remember seeing on one of my favourite Substacks that I've watched, that I've read, I can't remember the girl's name off the top of my head, but I'm going to put it here, and she was talking about how perfume is now the new lipstick effect of, hey, economy's down, but I still want to treat myself, so I'll get a lipstick. And makeup and beauty used to be that, and now perfume's that. And perfume is that from the perspective of now more men are buying perfume, and a lot more first-time buyers of perfume. And Bottega Veneta released their new fragrance. I didn't know they didn't have one, and I haven't smelt it. I don't know what it smells like. I haven't been to whatever department store to smell it. So the designer unveils a collection of 5 scents for the house, all inspired by Bottega's home city, Venice. They are 5 fragrances and they retail for £350. I've noticed that fragrances have also increased in price as well. It used to be solely the extremely high-end boutique fragrance brands that would have a price point of £350. I'm surprised that they haven't done like a lower entry point fragrance to sort of entertain their curious customers or curious people who maybe not shop a Bottega bag but maybe interested in wanting to own something from Bottega, so they would buy a fragrance or like a lipstick or a makeup product. But yes, the reason why fragrance has become the new lipstick effect is because it is normally a good entry point for new clients to discover the brand. Like, yeah, you may not be able to own a bag so quickly, but you can own a lipstick or a fragrance of said brand, and that's what Bottega has tapped into. I don't really know. I don't really think we needed a Bottega Veneta fragrance, and I would have. Of course, Bottega's quite high end, so they have to keep the price in line with what they currently price their items at. But I would have had something at like £90 as an entry point, if that, to try it. If they have never ever put out a fragrance, why so expensive? So the final thing that I want to discuss today is about Louis Vuitton and their Never Full bag that they for some reason released out to so many influencers on TikTok. So now it's all over my TikTok For You page, and they are trying to make this the new it bag again, which is funny as hell because it's also like double the price of what it originally was. But this is like a viral campaign to try to make this bag appealing to, I guess, Gen Z, to the younger lot. It's interesting. There are so many. They kind of wanted to replace the Goyard bag, and how the Goyard bag was your go-to bag to have every day. A lovely tote. I don't know how I feel about it. I think there's better bags that you could spend £1,000 on to own, and that's not the Louis Vuitton Never Full bag. But it's back, and let's see how the huge push of it plays out, because so far it is only influencers on TikTok who are wearing the bag, and I don't know what that's going to look like for sales. But at the same time, if it's going to sell, it's going to sell, and there will always be people who would want to buy Louis Vuitton. It nearly made me want to go out and buy the Never Full bag, but I don't remember it being over £1,000. I remember it being like 400 or 500, and I'm like, God, I really would love there to be a really great tote bag like that is just more of an affordable price point. A £400, £500 well-made bag that's good. That would be a great entry level leather bag for new clients. But they don't really, right now it's about competing with the best, so they wouldn't do that. They want to maintain their brand positioning with the high-end luxury by keeping the prices crazy. They obviously can't keep them this high forever, so let's see how this all plays out. Speaking of that, I think a few weeks ago Telfar launched their new finally full leather Telfar bag, and it was launched in Selfridges. I've been bagged, so that's my option of me saying that I wanted a bag. I'm kind of like adverse to viral hype brands because my own interest in them is to join the hype, not because I genuinely like it. So I personally really like to discover something that's timeless and classic and want to own that rather than just follow a hype. So I've never bought a Telfar bag. I don't really want to be a Telfar bag owner. I kind of like stuff that are culty and like everybody has it, and it's on like a you need to, if you know you know kind of basis, not on like this is the best bag to get. So yes, I don't know much about the Telfar bag, but he re-released the bag and it's apparently now made of leather. I don't know what the quality is like. I know people were complaining about the quality before because it wasn't real leather. The straps will peel off, so hopefully it's fixed that. But maybe he would be also a brand to look at to create a really good tote. I don't know, but that's that. So yes, that is all I wanted to talk about today, this week. If you've made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. You are a real one, and I will catch you guys on my next video. Please like and subscribe, as always.